the stove's out. It's actually out on the front porch. So cleaning that area, got the pipe out. So with any luck, it would be awesome if it happens to fit. I got a feeling I'm going to be doing siding and moving the hole. So we'll see. But there's the bracket. Here's the pipe. All right. Oh, the T is, I got the T someplace. All right, there it is. Still on the rug, slid it in place. Actually, wasn't too bad. I think it's lighter than the one I took out. And the freaking thing's massive. But if you put it there on the pad, then the exhaust is nowhere near, well, it's not near. So we're talking about siding and putting the hole in the correct place. If I move the unit over so it's lined up, it's still too tall. I don't know if you can see from now. It's still too tall. Whoops. So I still have to do stuff with the siding. And then at that point, do you then make the hearth, I'm calling it that, bigger so that it, I don't know, I think got to do the siding anyways, whatever you do. So it's like, I'll just put it where it should be, like here. I think that's, yeah, that's pretty centered. Okay, so that's what's next. So what we have here now is that where the old pellet stove outlet went, and it's not going to be where the new pellet stove's outlet is going. If I want to center the pellet stove on the hearth, which is kind of centered in this wall, then I'm going to have to put a different, hole in the wall. So this is also going to give me an opportunity to put in the fresh air intake too. So as you'll see, when I'm going to pull this up and I'll show you where it's got to be on the new one. All right. Anyways, looking at where the pipe's coming out, I'm gonna have to, there's a stud here, or I boxed it in, which I don't know. But I'll pull the wood off here along that stud and then over to this stud so I can open it up.
Alright, I'm gonna put the lines on.
So basically what I'm doing is a plunge cut. I'm bringing the saw blade down into the wood, and then following up the line. So now we've got the wood off, and basically what we just really found out. Oh, I'll show you. So I just need to, I think I'll remove some of this framing and then put in new framing for the new thimble, wall thimble, and then cut the sheetrock, put a new piece of sheetrock in on the other side, then put insulation back in, and put the siding on. So my next step is to determine where the pipe is going to go through the wall. And as we saw, the stove is in the correct position. So now I want to determine where I'm going to have to put the hole in the wall. It looks like, I mean, there's already a hole there, but there's wood in there, so it's going to have to be reframed too. And but anyways, so what I did was I put a level on top of the pipe and ran it out and drew a line on the wall where the top is, and then there's another line down below where the bottom of the pipe is. Then I took a level and I put it on the side of the pipe. Let me get the level for you. So I put the level on the side of the pipe and then determined where it was level and then drew a line on the wall and did that on both sides. So now I can move the stove out of the way. Now that I've got the stove pulled away from the wall, I'm going to extend those marks down to the location of where we're going to have to determine where the thimble is going to be located. So here's the left mark, and we're level there. Okay, and this is the right mark. We're coming off the right-hand side. Okay. All right, and now we'll just do lines across.
Convenient.
All right, using the tape, which is on the inside of the lines, I was able to determine where the thimble should go. And how I did that was I used this part of the thimble and put it over until I could see this equidistant in the hole of the thimble. Then I marked where it sat on the wall, the square part. The other part of the thimble, this is the outside part, but I wanted to determine where I need to cut this. So I lined it up with the square part and then used a magic marker to mark the top. I don't know if you can see it, but the blue is I marked the top here and the side here off of this particular unit. Then I went back to the inside part of the thimble and I lined up the top and the side, and then with the magic marker went around the whole outside of the thimble to give me the mark on the wall. So now I can cut that open. And with any luck, I did it right. That's always the tricky part, you know? It's like, oh, this will work. I'm going to remove the tape now, and then I'll fill in where the tape was. Oh, that's handy. Yeah. Like I said, there's always something. This is painter's tape, so I'm kind of surprised it did that, but it looks like that was never painted, that section. Okay. Hopefully there'll be enough here to do it. Looks like there will be. Jeez, I just put the stuff on. Wow. And the bit I got on it is probably dull, but it's just sheetrock, so we'll see what happens. If that slides in, cool. So now I know I got a piece of plastic here. Oh, okay. I got a stud. So when I open up the wall on the other side, I'll be able to see better what's going on here. Okay. Now we're gonna get ready to cut the old support or framing out. Whoops. And so you can see that I got to remove this 2x and this 2x, and then we'll frame it for the new thimble, which is, you know, on this mark here. Okay. Now on the other side. So basically this piece and this piece have to come out. All right. We'll continue on. I'll do that. I'll remove that stuff, clean this mess up here, and we'll go from there. All right, I kind of mounted the thimble with a couple of drywall screws just into the drywall to get an idea of where this should mount. So as far as this framing goes for the this thimble, it's not a structural framing system. In other words, I've got support here on the walls, and there's a header up here, so I don't need it to support anything. So it's just basically there so that sheetrock and the thimble itself can get screwed to it, and I really don't even need it on the outside for the sheathing, because basically I'm gonna just tie the sheathing here and here. So I'm gonna move the stove back, but so I put in baseboard, cut a piece for baseboard, and then I mounted that there. And that'll be cool if that sits right. Otherwise, I gotta notch the baseboard, which, yeah. Or I put the stove back in position and adjusted the thimble accordingly and marked the, it looks like I do have to drop the thimble down a little bit. So I marked the baseboard accordingly. You can see the pipe there. Okay, so this is the pipe coming off of the stove right there. And so we got to drop the thimble down slightly. I marked the baseboard there, and I'll just trim it off a little bit. And then we can finish framing this up. Okay, I notched the wood and I put the thimble back in spot. All right, so we're getting ready to, we're gonna be figuring out where to patch the sheetrock. Probably just put a rectangle over here underneath the metal and just cover that. That's probably all I need, really. Framing, cleaned it out. Now we'll put some insulation in there. And today we're gonna work on getting the sheetrock in, cutting the piece of sheetrock so that it fits within that rectangular area. And then after that, then we'll determine the rest of the hole size. It's the last day of summer. Woo. Okay, here's the other side. We'll probably end up putting in a support here once I put the sheetrock in to figure out where that's going. All right. All right, let's make our measurement. Let me put you down here. We get 2 measurements, and then we will transfer those measurements to our piece of sheetrock and cut the piece of sheetrock out. So what we got here is 5.5. Wow. I say wow because it's like perfect. And 10 1/8. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to add 2 inches to each dimension so that I can have I'm going to try to cut the back side so I have paper, 1 inch of paper on each edge to put the piece of sheetrock into the wall and not have to tape it, because the tape will be the paper that's already on it. All right, so 5.5 turns into 7.5. And let's do it this way. Here's 7.5, and the other one was 10. Just double check. Is 12 1/8. So I'm just gonna follow down my line. 12 1/8 right here. Now I'm just gonna cut the piece all the way off so that I have one long rectangular piece. I scored it. Now I'm gonna break it. You can see. And I got my mark here. So let me just turn that, put my square on my mark. There we go. 1, 2. And here's the piece that I cut. Now, on the back side, I'm gonna draw out my piece, and then I'm gonna use that drawing to scribe and try to get the cement and the back paper off. Anyways, let me figure out the drawing and then I'll come back. Okay, I drew the lines. I just measured 1 inch over on each edge, and this measures 5.5 and this measures 10. So I lost an 1/8 someplace, but not a big deal. Now I'm going to scribe the lines here and try to get the cement off, but keep the front face paper on. Okay, so we'll try that. All right, let's try that again. I have the piece of sheetrock in here. And then I took the thimble . Okay, now I'm cutting the started cutting it with the sheetrock knife, the circle. Okay. Now we can put this back in the wall. Let's see how good that works. Wow. Awesome. Neat. it mocked up, so with the 2x4 here, and I marked its position so I can take this apart and then attach this, and then I can attach the sheetrock on the other side. The stud in place, so that's good. Now I can finish up with the sheetrock in, and okay, I put some drywall compound on the hole and all around it. So now I'm going to put the drywall piece in. Hopefully this works. Okay, let's put a couple of screws in that. In, it is really not that much that has to be painted. Alright, that's what that looks like right now. The insulation here. In. Okay. Alright, started putting in some pieces for the siding here, and then I mounted it in the hole like this. Then, which is the outside part, but I stuck it in the hole. And then after it was in the hole, I put my hand inside and with a pencil marked the wood. So now I know where to drill my hole. Cut the hole out. As you can see, I marked it top. I don't know if you can see it. There it is, top. And I put it over here too in case that cuts out. But there's my circle. I'll cut on the outside of this line. Okay. I painted this quickly and had some, looks like copper, kind of just lightly spritzed it. Kind of neat looking. And then, so this is what it looks like on the outside. Okay. I mean, that's not screwed together yet. You know, still got to finish the drywall there and do that, but it's looking good. All right. Oh. Right now I got the electric cord running from in the house through the hole. Thing I need to do now is install the fresh air intake, which is going to come off of that part of the stove. Probably have to put a hole in the wall there and on the other side. So I got to figure that out, and I think that's what I'm going to do now. All right, the next step in installing this fresh air intake was to measure the distance between, well, I did from the edge of this to the edge of that. And I put the thimble in and measured from the edge of the hole that same distance and came over to here, where's my finger? Came over to here and marked it at the bottom. And I marked that over here too. But you can see that that's the edge of the sheetrock there, and this sheetrock was already on a stud. So I wanted to make sure I was going to miss that stud. So I measured the distance from this edge here to the stud, the left edge of the stud, which you can just see up here. You see that? That's the stud. And I believe I don't have any studs over here. So we're gonna drill a hole. I then took this measurement from here to here, and I transferred it on the other side. So I made sure that I am to the left of that. So now I'm gonna use I got my cutter that fits the air intake. Here's my cutter. That happens to fit. Let me just put that in like that. Anyways, there we go. See, it fits. I'm just going to transfer it on the stud. And the bottom will go here. So this line will come down. So wherever the cutter fits within that is where I'm going to go, which will give it a pretty straight shot. I'd like to get it as straight as possible. It does not have to be, but I'm trying to push the stove as close to the wall within the clearances required. All right, I determined the location of where the cut will start by lining it up, eyeballing it, the bottom, just kind of resting against the drywall and the side, and then I determined, and I already started the hole there, so that's where it is. Whoa. This is on 1, wow. And I just got to determine where I should start it on the other side. I think I'm just going to take a long bit and just center it here and keep the drill bit centered. There's actually a level on this particular drill, so that'll be cool. And I just go through, and that'll be where I'll cut the other side. So let me go. So now I got my long bit. Gosh, it's almost 16 inches long. Wow. And I'm just gonna center it in the hole. Like I said, I got a level on this particular, right there. Well, it's a very slow level. Right there, it's centered, looks pretty centered. Okay, let's check it out. Oh, here we go. This is the hole right here. Cool. All right. And that's what we're going to use to drill. All right, let's do our drill here, our hole. Here's the hole. Yeah. Wow. This thing's freaking mortal. one brutal hole saw. Holy crow. All right. Here we go. I made this little stuff out of that plastic wood. I got some of it here. And attach that so I can put my thimble. It's got a solid place to bolt to screw to. And also now I've got a nice place to put J-channel or whatever this stuff's called. I think it's J-channel for the vinyl siding. But I'm gonna paint. I need to paper it first, so I should have papered it probably before I put those on. I made this for the for the vent, the air intake. So it'd be kind of like that. Plus, it gives me an edge to put the vinyl siding on. All right. We've got the pieces on. Get my head out of there so we get a little more sun there. You got the air intake on and the exhaust right there. It's all taped up. So all we gotta do now is start siding. All right, added another coat of drywall, trying to smooth it out. Drywall compound. So might need another coat after this, but getting there. Now we're gonna work on the siding. All right, here's the siding, and what I do is I took some of the old pieces of siding over here, and I put them together. And I marked the J-channel where it ended up so that I know where to start. Anyway, so the next thing I'm going to do is put the J-channel around the squares and on the bottom section here. And then I'll start putting siding in. All right? All right, so we got the J-channel around both boxes. They were caulked, and then first row of siding. Just got to tack it in place, line it up with our marks, and then do the next row. Okay. So in order to determine where to tack this first row in place, I tied the first row with the row up here, which is still part of the house, by adding two pieces in. So now I can tack it, put my tacks in on both sides. I did it on both sides. And then I can move it over and then tack over here. Cool. How do we determine where we should cut this next piece so that it fits around our air intake and our exhaust? So first, I cut a piece at the appropriate length between these two spots, and you need to leave a little bit of you need to cut it a little bit shorter so that it has the ability to expand when it gets warm. Vinyl expands when it gets warm. So you leave about 1/4 of an inch, and then I center it when I tack it in place. But to determine where we need to cut it is I put this piece on top, and then I take a straight edge. So then I take a straight edge and put the straight edge on the side and mark it. And I do that on all the sides. And that gives me the position of where it's going to get cut to go around the unit, those squares. To do the sides, let me get this out of here. To get the depth, or how deep I have to cut it with a junk piece, I put it up against, put the straight edge across the top and mark that. And that's going to give me both sides, because this is level and square. Then I will transfer that mark to the other piece where the lines are. Sorry. So here's our line. So I can just put it on, get it matched up here, and then just transfer that mark. Or I could just take a measurement from here to here, which I can do that too, which is probably a better idea. But in the meantime, I could draw a straight edge. These are all cut on my saw, miter box, so they're straight. Well, cut them straight. And it's the same with this piece too. So doing the same thing here is, see if you can see a mark there. There's the mark. So then I'll just transfer that mark. Transfer that mark to this unit too. So let me do that, and I'll come back. So now I've got it laid out. The X's are getting cut out. This was the piece that I got the dimension from. Same on the other side. That's going to be this piece, the exhaust. Again, this piece I got the dimension from. Okay, now we're going to cut it out. Now we want to cut it out a little bit bigger, so we'll cut on the outside of the lines. That way we got room for it to move when it needs to. Well, it looks like it's going to fit after I cut it. So I'm just going to take it back out, clean it, and then I'll put it back in. This is going to be the hard spot because that's damaged. And I got to get it around it. So let's see what we can do. All right. Okay. Siding's up. You can see the two new pieces are a little bit brighter. It's new old stock. I bought it all at the same time 15 years ago. But that's never been, well, I shouldn't say it's never been outside. It was outside for a good portion of the time, but in a box, all wet. The last few years it's been in the garage underneath the car. But never really got the sun. So, I mean, considering the other stuff's 15 years old, it didn't fade that bad. It's, you know, yellow. But that's that. That completes that side. I use this tool here. This is a tool to use to try to get the siding off. Side swiper too. And also use that to get under the lip. Let's see if I can show you here. You get under the lip of the top piece, and then you pull down and pull it over the piece you're trying to get attached to. As you can see, it's got the edge on it. And let me say, so it's then gonna fit in to this slot of the piece below it, like that. See that? So basically you're using the tool. You're using the tool to pull this piece, the bottom of this piece, over the top of this piece and get it to push in and lock in. You know, once you get it started, you kind of work your way down until you're at the end of the piece and you come out. Okay. All right, we got one coat of paint on, and I mean, you can see it, but I think once the stove's in the way, you're not in front of it, you're not going to see it. We're going to put the baseboard in, the thimble on, and then we'll run the pipe through there and move the stove back into position. Then we'll have to mount the pipe on the outside of the wall. And then we're ready to test, I believe. But I do have this particular screw. And this is 2 inches, two and a half inches? I don't know. It's pretty long. Longer than I have to be, but that's what I have. It's a cabinet screw. I believe these are used to hold the cabinets to the wall. It's a little bit thinner. Maybe not. Anyways, so that's what we're going to put in.
It's a T15. Wasn't that interesting? I can't get this screw on. The head's different, or it wasn't formed properly when it was being created. That one's good too, so there we go. Just going in slow so I don't damage anything. I'm watching it move, so cool.
All right, we got the thimble on. We got the baseboard on, the thimble on, and then we got so here's the other side of the thimble. Now I'm going to take the air intake off so I can put the pipe through. So when the pipe comes in from the outside, it'll come through. Of course, the stove's going to be pretty close to the wall, but then the pipe's going to hook up to the fresh air intake on the stove, and then this hose clamp is then used to hold it in place.
Well, I got the pipe in. I was just kind of playing with it. It went in, so I was like, oh, okay. See if I can get this on here. Which, if I follow the lines on this, it looks like it would be like a counterclockwise, a screwed-on kind of deal. I mean, I can't imagine you go too far into the hole of this. Screwed in place, sealed, and all set.
So here we go. Air intake, exhaust. So now we'll clean the floor, move the stove, and of course it's on this carpet, so I want to use the carpet to slide it in place, but I got to get it off the carpet too. All right, the stove is hooked up. What we did, well, in the house anyways, added stove cement on the joint there. Put this pipe on and then connected this to it. Okay. Air intake there. I think I like it better because
looks like my support was there before. So, let me see if I can just tighten it up enough so it doesn't slide down. Well, got one of those loose nuts on the other side. Okay. Oh. Huh. That's interesting, because it goes. No, it doesn't. It goes this way. I just gotta lower it down a little bit. Get the level. Here's a level. Ah, that's interesting. Yeah. There's one marker so I can put a screw in without it moving. I know where it is. That's what I said. Okay. Now I'll just put the cap on. Okay.
now we're ready for the heating season. The only thing I got to do is I'll have to clean here, caulk the holes. That one too, clean it in there and then caulk the hole. But good. Now we got the pipe on. That's those pipes are double wall and they're for pellet stoves. So there it is, installed. Huge cavernous hopper. It'll hold 130 pounds. That's 3 bags. So, I'm just gonna make a little hole so I can pour them out. You can see I hardly put any in. So since we won't be able to see it, it's not gonna make that much difference. Let me just fill it. And I probably only put in about half a bag. Plug it in. Close the door. Back to high. So we're gonna go, high is over here. So high to off to high. Well, it's doing something. The feed motor will run continuously for 2 minutes and the LED light will be solid green. It's only been a couple of minutes and the pellets are already starting to drop in. Dropping in a lot of them too. You can hear them and I can see them, but I can't see with the, oh, you can kind of see, whoa, there's a bunch of pellets. All right. Can you see the red there? We got smoke. The smell of wood burning. See, I had a corn stove before and it smelled like popcorn out here. And the smell of popcorn would kind of go, a couple neighbors' houses, you could smell it. We got a fire now. Look at that puppy. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Stove's on high right now. We're still in the initial startup phase. So we have to run it on high for 30 minutes, which is to cure the paint for manufacturing. And they did say to open the windows and doors because of the smell, but I don't smell anything. So, and it's a little chilly outside today. Today's October 2nd. Well, oh, the fan just came on for the first time. All right, so it's gonna get hot in here, I think. Oh, I can smell the, yep, it's got a smell to it now. Yep, makes sense. All right, well, it's been 30 minutes, so I'm gonna shut it down. This is what they want you to do for the first time. Wow, it's really putting out some heat. Woo. Gonna shut it down. It looks like there's quite a few pellets still in the burn pot, so it'll probably take, I bet you it'll take probably a good hour to cool down. I want us to, oh, see, look at the difference. Alrighty. Clean the burn pot out, and then, so this is the end of this installation, the changeover of a corn pellet stove to a wood pellet stove.